Hello, everybody, and welcome back to today's episode of Pinstripe Talk. Got a lot to go over this week in the week of the Yankees. It's been a busy week. It's been an exciting week. But we'll start off. Let's go down with the last two series Yankees have played in. They played in two series since last week's show. They played against the White Sox, and they're still playing, in the series against the Rays. Both good series. They took a split in Chicago against the White Sox, and they've won the first two games of the series against the Rays at home, and in the bottom of the seventh, right now, they have an 8-1 lead. Also, the Yankees are up in the bottom of the seventh with the bases loaded. Gleyber's at the plate with one out, and I'll update the game as it goes along. But let's start with the series against the White Sox. First game. First game was one of those games where you wish you could just have it back. We had a 4-1 lead at one point as Gleyber Torres hits a grand slam. So sorry to interrupt, but a grand slam into the Yankee bullpen for Gleyber Torres' 16th home run on the season. Yankees now lead this ball game. It is 12-1 in the seventh. So a little John Sterling, Michael Kay tryout for you right there, as Gleyber Torres hits himself a very, very big home run to give the Yankees an even larger lead, now 12-1, and it looks like they're going to take the series in a sweep from the Rays. So this has been one heck of a series. But before I get to the Rays series, which I will get to in a moment, again, I have to start with the White Sox. We played them first. So it was 2-0 to start. The Yankees scored 2 runs in the second inning. So seems things are getting off to a good start. Didi scored in a wild pitch, and Frazier singled in Gardy. So it was a good ball game. It was a good ball game to that point. Then Gardner hits a 2-run home run. It was 4-0. And then the veteran J. Happ he just lost it. He just lost it. And for a veteran like Happ, it's hard to stomach that because he knows better than probably anybody how important a lead is like that, and you have to hold that. And he's a guy who's won a lot of ball games, who's pitched in a lot of ball games, and he knows how important it is to pitch in those kind of ball games. And it probably crushed him for that to happen. But he comes up and he gives up a double to Larry Garcia to score a few runs, and the big blow comes on a 3-run home run from Tim Anderson. So that's tie game right there, 4-4. And then the last run, I've been giving him a lot of credit, so I'm not really going to fault him for this. Everyone gives up home runs. Catfish Hunter made a career out of pitching great ball games and giving up solo home runs. And he went to the Hall of Fame. So Adam Ottavino came in the seventh and gave up a home run to Larry Garcia. So it was a 5-4 ball game. That's how it ended. He got the loss, and the Yankees lost the ball game 5-4. It's one of those games where you have that lead, you can hold the lead, especially with the Yankees bullpen, and it just doesn't come together. So sad loss there. Now you take the good with the bad. Guys had a few good ball games. Didi had 2 hits. Gleyber had 2 hits. Frazier had 3 hits, although we'll talk about him in a little bit. So there were some good performances to be had. Canely pitched great. Holder pitched great. And even Ottavino pitched a fairly good ball game, aside from that one run. But it's a hard luck loss. Now on to a loss that didn't sting as much because it was just a blowout. It was a 10-2 loss of the White Sox. And, I mean, what else can you say aside from Eloy Jimenez? Eloy Jimenez had 6 RBIs and 3 hits, 2 of them 3-run home runs. So it was not a close ball game by any stretch. The only time the Yankees ever had a chance to win this game was when they led 1-0 after the first inning, after Voit hit a home run. So it's just one of those ball games where you toss it up. You toss it up. They lost 10-2. Sabathia did not pitch well. CC went 4 2/3, 10 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks. Sessa didn't fare any better. One inning of work, 5 hits, 4 earned runs. The only guy to pitch well in this ballgame was David Hale, who pitched 2 1/3, only gave up a hit. So that he was one hell of a pitcher in this ballgame. He pitched a great ballgame. And as far as hitting goes, Voit had 2 hits, Frazier had 2 hits. Again, sorry, Clint. LeMahieu, Torres had a hit, smattering of hits in the ballgame, but nothing really to be too impressed by, obviously. It's a 10-2 ballgame. What I was impressed by was Eloy Jimenez and Lucas Giolito. When the Nationals traded Lucas Giolito to the White Sox for Adam Eaton, I thought at the time it was an idiotic trade because, Adam Eaton is a slap-hitting, good-fielding outfielder who's going to bat .290 and hit 10 home runs and steal maybe 20 bases, maybe. At that point. And he's still a pretty good ball player, but he's not great. He's like Brett Gardner. Like Brett Gardner 3 years ago. And Lucas Giolito at the time was supposed to be a can't-miss stud prospect who would be the next ace of whatever stat he's on. And it just didn't look that way. It just didn't look like Giolito would be anything aside from one of those guys that can't miss, but misses badly and toss it up to just bad luck. In his first year with the White Sox, he only pitched in 7 games. It was 3-3 with a 2.38, so it's not like he was terrible. He was pretty good. But his first full season with the White Sox was last season, 2018, and he pitched in 32 games, started 32 games, was 10-13 with a 6.13 ERA, 32 starts. Went out there all the time. But then, probably because of health, he comes back this season and is now 10-1 with a 2.22 ERA. And in the game he pitched against the Yankees, he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run. He pitched a hell of a ball game, and now he has 10 wins. So I will say I was wrong on Lucas Giolito, and maybe he really is the real deal. But those are the 2 losses we had, and now on to the positives. Yankees had some wins in this series. They actually had 2 wins in this series. And the first win came because we had an opener. Chad Green did what Chad Green does, and has been doing since his poor start to the season, never since they sent him down. He's pitched great. Chad Green went 2 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, and struck out every batter he got out. Every out he recorded was a strikeout. So, a dominant performance for Chad Green for 2 innings to start the game. And Nestor Cortes, who has really been a surprising pitcher for the Yankees so far this season, has really improved on everything he's done. I never thought he'd be on this team because, with all the injuries we had, you have to have him on this team. But coming into the season, did you think Nestor Cortes would be here? I didn't. 5 innings. 5 innings for the relief pitcher, Nestor Cortes. 6 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts. It's a great outing. Now Holder comes in and goes an inning pitch and gives up 2 runs. Not great. And Chappie comes in and gets the last outs. So a very well pitched ball game. LeMahieu. Everybody in the lineup had a hit aside from Brett Gardner, who started. And Gardner walked 3 times. So LeMahieu had 2 hits. Voit had a hit. Hicks had a hit. Gary had a hit. Didi had 2 hits. Torres had 2 hits. I'm sorry, Frazier didn't have a hit. My mistake. Maben had a hit, and Gardner. So, a very well played ball game overall. Gary doubled in a few runs. Glaber had a home run. Cameron Maben, who we'll get to in a second, because I want to talk about him a lot more in depth, hit a home run. So we had a few homers, a few doubles, some well-timed hits. It was a very well-played game. Pitching was decent. Hitting was timely. And Yankees really proved that they can outslug you. So that's a great example of it. A better example of it is the final game of the series. It was a 10-3 ball game. James Paxton pitched great. 6 innings, 2 runs. That's all you can ask a starter to do. He pitched great. 6 innings, 2 runs, 8 hits, 7 strikeouts, a walk. Ottavino comes in, blows him away, 2 strikeouts in an inning. David Hale comes in for an inning, gives up a run, and Britton closes the game out with an inning of his own. So, again, great ball game on that end. We had some home runs. We had a home run, another one from Maben. So we had some RBIs from Gardner, who had 4. Romine, who also had 4. Big game from some backups, because they didn't play their A lineup that day. They played, the lineup was LeMahieu, Voit, Torres, and then from there it went Frazier, Gardner, Urshela, Talkman, Romine, and Maben. No Gary, no Didi. So it's not like you're throwing out your A team, but they managed to come out with a victory, and a very easy victory, if I do say so myself. They walked a lot. Glaber walked 3 times. Voigt walked twice, and that's a sign of a good team. A sign of a good team is they come in and be patient, take pitches, really make other teams work to get them out, and then they'll eventually make mistakes, and they'll eventually give up hits and home runs, and that's how you win ball games. So a very good series to end out the White Sox series. We ended up winning the last 2 games after losing the first 2. We had a little bit of a down stretch after the Red Sox series back at the end of May. We won the series against the Red Sox, but then we lost to the Blue Jays. We lost series to them. We lost series to the Indians, and we split with the Mets. So coming into the White Sox series, it looked like just more Yankee struggles, but we bounced back and win 2 games, and it looks like we're all back to being right as rain. So that's the White Sox series. Now on to the series we're currently in and currently winning. The Rays series, Game 1 on Monday. There is no question who was the MVP of this game. It's the man who went 9 innings, gave up 2 hits, and walked the batter, and struck out 10. He was amazing. Masahiro Tanaka was amazing. He had pinpoint control. He was fooling everybody. Every pitch he made, every pitch he knew where it was going to go. He was a master craftsman teaching a class on how to pitch in ball games. And I don't think you could have you couldn't ask for a better start. I mean, I have called out Tanaka a few times on his lack of control, on the fact that his pitches don't break as much as they used to. I have been a critic of Tanaka at times. But by God, did he pitch one heck of a ball game. And that was the pitching aspect. The hitting was fine. We had two runs in the third on a home run by LeMahieu. He had a 2-run home run. And then Cameron Maben had a home run. So 3 runs is all we needed. 3 runs, 8 hits, and that's all she wrote. Tanaka was the only pitcher in the game, so you can't really go off any pitching performance aside from Tanaka. And he pitched a shutout, a complete game shutout. Really a very well-played ball game overall. It's one of those wins where it's a satisfying win to watch because you watch a guy at his best. You watch a man pick apart a lineup. It's almost psychological. It's like a mental game almost to watch at that point. To watch a man just kind of pick apart other teams, pick apart other batters. Nobody wants to throw here. Nobody wants to throw there. It's probably the best game I've ever seen Tanaka pitch. And it's either that or the game he pitched in the playoffs in 2017 against Cleveland. We were down 2-0, and he had to pitch. And he's pitching for the season, and he outpitched Carlos Carrasco, and we ended up winning the ball game 1-0 on a Greg Bird home run. So it's either that game against Cleveland or this game. I mean, it's a toss-up, but he is. Those are some of the best things I've ever seen him pitch, and this was right up there with it. He was phenomenal. Now on to game 2 of the series, Yankees won again, 6-3, and it was a comeback win. Yankees were down 2-1 at one point, but they really proved that that doesn't matter because they're the Yankees, and they will come back and they will prove that they can win in any scenario because they do not give up. Voit 3 for 3, LeMahieu 2 for 5, Sanchez had a hit. Encarnacion with his first hit as a Yankee. Maben had 3 hits. Again. Torres had a hit. We had a home run from Maven and a home run from Encarnacion.